We're Batman at 89. Hello and welcome to Batminute 89, the show that mixes all of the right components to pour an extremely volatile mixture down your ear holes 3 days a week. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
Oh, and I'm slightly scared by that. That was like way more intense than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, well, you know, it's an exciting day, it's an exciting minute, and we have an exciting guest because we are joined by Phil Dragash of the Matrix Minute podcast. Hello.
Hello, this is Phil from the Matrix Minute podcast. And I was trying to do my Batman voice, but it didn't work out very well, so...
No, that was incredible.
Batman! Oh, thanks.
We'll have to mix that into the start.
I mean, do you want me to do the Christian Bale one? You mean, oh, this is the Batman podcast. That's kind of how it goes.
Pretty accurate, to be fair, yes. Spot on.
That sounded more like the "You're Fired" guy from The Simpsons. You know, "You're fired."
Yeah, hey, I'm so glad to be on here. I love Batman, and I love Batman at 89. I love the opening. I it's just in my head all the time. We're Batman at 89.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad it's gone down a storm, you know, with someone at least.
Totally.
The first person to ever mention it to us. So it's like, hey, 73 minutes in.
Are you kidding me? It's been what? No one's mentioned that. It's like the most iconic thing. I hear it all the time. Every time I play a new podcast, we're Batman at 89. And if only we could just do that together at some point within these 3 episodes, I'd be like geeking out.
Ooh, Niall, we'll have to sort that out anyway. But with regards to the actual episode, this is minute 73. And it starts with Batman revealing how Joker's chemicals work, and it ends with him seemingly becoming some kind of sexual predator. But yes, with the minute here, we are back in the Batcave along with Vicki. That's where we left our heroes last week. Batman says that the poison only works when the components are mixed, which was
That's right.
I thought that was quite an interesting little idea.
Yeah.
Specifically, he says, hairspray alone won't do it. You've got to use a few different products together. So, say, lipstick and perfume, which is... what's the point behind that? Is it to make it tougher to locate the problem items?
I think so, yeah. That it's you can't just go instantly, oh, this is exactly what this thing is. It's more like, oh, it's only going to work if you... You know, if you know the exact combination of things that will actually kill you. So... if you just had one thing, you knew like that's tainted. You could maybe it would be easier to kind of get that out of the way. But now it's like, no, it's different components are in different things.
Right,
so if you combine them, and you can't tell. It's like spreading things out wider, so you can't exactly
turning into
locate.
like a Death Megazord kind of deal.
Yeah,
where you have to put everything together. And also, he says it's untraceable. But what does that mean?
Yeah, because he's tracing it, isn't he?
Yeah.
So presumably
he is, but yeah, like is that just because when those chemicals are combined on the face, does that just mean that you can't like I don't know what that means in this sentence. Maybe it's just my cold. Everybody, I have a cold. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, it's okay.
That my mind isn't as fresh as it would be. But no, it is. It's a very clever way of the Joker actually creating a chemical compound that makes people laughing uncontrollably and gives them the Joker smile. Has anyone talked about that too? Like, why would how how does that even work?
like how does it get up into his specific, the same exact rictus grin that he had?
That's right. Like, I guess this. Well, then again, you guys talked about how Jack Napier, his background was in chemistry, right?
Yeah.
Before he turned into.
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on it with when Scott Corelli was on as well.
Yes.
Because he was just like, oh, it's weird that he seemed to be under the impression that it's the same chemicals that Jack fell into that caused the whole thing. But it's like, no, I think it's separate, it's different chemicals. But
okay.
But it was, I think we brought up then that it is weird that like we're led to believe that he got this smile from the surgery, from like his facial wound. And the surgeon had nothing to do, but he just had to give him this permanent grin. And he somehow find a chemical that gives you that exact same grin. Is a bit weird, yeah.
It is. Like, but yeah, Batman found this out, didn't he? He just
this is one of the few times I think in any of the Batman films you see him actually doing, the whole
some detective work.
The world's greatest detective routine.
Right?
Like, usually he's all just being cool, running around on rooftops and beating people up. But this is like, no, this is it. He's cracked this code himself and just sat and worked it out exactly how this has been done. And I don't think you really see that kind of level of detective work until I think The Dark Knight. He has that bit
until
where
The Dark Knight. Yeah, I think that's a huge shame. Like, I can't believe throughout all of Batman cinema history, they haven't tapped into a lot of him being the world's greatest detective or doing any kind of extensive mystery solving.
Yeah. No, it's
Isn't
true
that
because,
weird?
I mean, as someone who came to the series through the movies specifically, I still have a really hard time identifying him as a detective. Because he doesn't do it in these films. That's all. Well, here, this is it. But there's very few other examples. He just... zooms around the city, beating up bad guys. That's
exactly.
Cool.
He's just gliding around, and exactly. I felt the same way, but then when I started getting into learning about the comics, you see, there's a funny thing I mentioned in Spider-Man Minute when I was guesting over there that I actually never read like a single full sort of like comic book. But I know a lot about them because of the DC and Marvel encyclopedias that DK used to publish or still do.
Yeah.
And I got to rent those at the library and got to do a lot of research on that. So then I got to know a lot about different characters and different events that happened throughout comic book history without ever having to actually read any of them, do any of the homework, which might have been like a detriment because you couldn't, appreciate the artwork and the way the stories are told. But that's exactly how I learned about Batman as well, through the animated series and through the movies. And I am also, but then like once I, generated a bigger appreciation to the Dark Knight character, Batman, I would have loved to see more of that detective stuff going on. And it's just a huge shame that it still hasn't happened.
Yeah. I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention as well, speaking of Batman's history in the comics, this whole idea of the Joker's binary, or like the mixed compounds create the toxin, is a thing. It's from the Laughing Fish comic storyline where
was it?
Yeah.
Hold on.
It was.
Hold on. Wait a second. I thought it was the animated series that made up that whole story. No.
It's from a story line called Strange Apparitions, and this is one of the stories that's featured.
Really?
Yeah. And like we mentioned,
wow.
So like the whole, like, you can argue that like the whole Joker poisoning the products is kind of a take on the Laughing Fish anyway. But this very specific is this idea that like, oh no, he's got two different elements that need to be joined together to create the venom. There's a scene, and I think it's in the animated version as well, where he's threatened to kill this guy at midnight, and Batman and Gordon and everyone, they're all staking out the guy's house, and they're in there with him, and somehow the guy gets they think he's safe, but then a gas bomb goes off in the house,
right? Yeah.
And then basically that guy dies. And it's just like, but Gordon and Batman are okay, and they're just like, well, how come it didn't affect us? And it's Batman realizes like, oh, when he met him, when the Joker came in and threatened the guy earlier, he obviously sprayed him with one part of the compound, and then this is the second part, and now it's combined, and this has killed him, and that's how he did that.
Right.
And it's like, so that whole idea is directly lifted from the Laughing Fish, essentially. So
that's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't even know the Laughing Fish episode in the Batman animated series was actually based off of an actual comic.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it's,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so there you go.
So of course this movie definitely took some elements from that. I love how you combine two chemicals. I think that's one of the joys of chemistry. You just combine, but it's up to your discretion to combine them yourself, and then something completely different happens that you would never have expected. And here we go. We have the same thing going on.
Yeah.
So welcome to Chemistry Cast. And
indeed, where we know nothing about, well, at least I don't, chemistry.
No, but we'll discover it along the way. We'll just mix random things and see what happens.
Yeah, the whole show is just going to be, isn't it cool that chemistry is just a thing that exists and that like you can do stuff with it? That's great.
That's great. Yeah.
Anyway, back with the actual minute. I love that Vicki comes over and is staring at him right in the face. Like,
I know she's trying to get a little look to see who's this guy.
Yeah, it's not even remotely subtle, is it? If someone was staring at you like that, you would be as annoyed as Batman seems to be, because the way he just gets up and turns away from her, it's almost like a soap opera really as well. The way he's like, "Rugh."
I know. But yeah, I mean, I would be curious as well. I'd be like, okay, let's see who. Like, we got to see the mouth at least. You know, maybe those lips are familiar or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, those lips will be. God damn, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful lips. But
Yeah,
I mean,
beautiful Michael Keaton lips.
You need to respect the mask as a wrestling fan, luchadors and things. You know, you respect the mask.
You respect the mask. I can dig that. Yeah, totally.
Maybe Vicki just doesn't take the hint though, because they had to do the thing in the Batmobile. Turn on the little. She was looking at him then. He had to turn on that little light so she wouldn't, stare at him. Yeah, and then this is the second time is she came at him that on the left angle. He had to turn over, and then now she's gone just right around him to look in on the right. It's like, oh, come on. Leave me alone, woman.
I know, and the way that he moves away, and he can't turn his head, and he just has to stand up and walk away with his broad shoulders moving about. Yeah.
That's the only effective way he can. As you say, he can't move his neck even like an inch, can he?
No, not in these movies, at least, no.
I think in the last minute we brought up as well that this shot is particularly evocative of the old, the original 1920s Phantom of the Opera, whereas there's which comes up in.
I was just about to mention that similarity. Go on,
but no, because we mentioned that before. But just one thing I forgot to bring up as well is that in the actual video for Party Man. When Prince comes in, he's got all the crowd are all in a kind of weird Phantom of the Opera-esque masks. So I wonder if did him and Tim Burton pass notes have been like, yeah, Phantom of the Opera is kind of like an influence on the movie. And Prince is like, oh, I love Phantom of the Opera. I should put that in my video. Or what happened there? But
there's no way it's accidental. Come on, that's got to be deliberate.
It has to be. No, based on what Tim Burton's the movies that he loves. Phantom of the Opera is definitely one of them, especially the one, mostly the silent one with Lon Chaney.
The only proper one, the real one.
The only proper one, yeah. The one that isn't the musical. Well, then again, there are many other ones. Oh, there's the Hammer one, of course. There's a Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, actually, yeah, that is pretty good.
With Michael Gough.
Yeah,
right?
That's right, yeah.
And, yeah.
And with the Phantom of the Paradise, which is the 70s super musical version, which is...
Oh yeah,
so it's something. I'll give you that.
That's a thing. Yeah, no, there's definitely these kinds of visual references we have in this, and I really like those. I appreciate them.
Well, I actually thought of another old movie as well, because when Batman gets up and he walks over to the, I was going to say to the computer, but it's all a computer, isn't it? So he walks over to one part of the computer, and he turns around to face Vicki, and there's quite a striking visual effect, like the lighting on his eyes only.
Yes,
and the rest of him's blacked out. And it kind of made me think of Bela Lugosi in White Zombie, is it? Where you get lots and lots of close-ups of Bella's eyes, and it's just the eyes illuminated, the rest are dark.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine that's probably more likely what he was going for than, my thought was I have written down Star Trek lighting. Because
it's very
Star Trek lighting.
That's the original Star Trek. Is every close-up of particularly close-ups of women, but it happened with Kirk and stuff as well. Well,
Kirk every time.
Yeah, cut to a close-up of him, and the entire lighting of the room would change, where it'd be all shadow and then a stream of light across his eyes. And
it's to draw you into those sexy eyes.
Well, I actually did have a little nosy into why is this a thing that's practiced? And why did they do that back in the day? And actually have a thing that says the bar across the eyes is a production technique designed to impress a sense of urgency and a mood of intimacy on the viewer. The movement of our eyes reflects our inner thoughts and emotions, and while they may or may not be true, as with nearly all claims like this, it is likely a partial truth. It was certainly a strong school of thought in the 60s. It's supposed to be one of the main things they had to give Michael Keaton. Because originally, as we mentioned several times before, is that they were originally planned to have lenses in the Batman cowl, so you wouldn't see his eyes.
Right.
But now it's more like they've gone the other way. It's like give him, particularly like a little stream of light across the eye, so he's got something to work with while he's just standing in a big rubber suit in the darkness as well. But plus, it's also
in that shot. Yeah, it'd be really hard to find him anyway in this shot.
I think it works with like the sort of change in the scene, because she's about to start talking. Like, he was all business, and then as the shot when he was sitting down, there was shadow all over his eyes, like he was completely, and it looked really cool. But now she's about to etch the conversation into talking about him and about like, well, what's the deal with Batman? Yeah. And now you're seeing his eyes. It's like, it's kind of like a little visual signal of like, we're getting into this guy now, that we're getting in.
Indeed.
Drawing our own eyes to the man underneath the mask.
The man underneath the mask.
I do have to say too, like, I thought for ages at the back of his chair that there were like little stickers, like 2 little stickers or something. And
like Post-it notes.
And I was looking for ages, and it's like, oh no, it's just the light reflected off the black matte paint. But I was sitting for ages going like, no, I think it says something.
No.
I'm going to suss this out, and no.
Were you zooming in to see what was written on the Post-its, like buy milk?
Yeah.
Oh no, man, I'm actually looking at that too. Like, what is that? Are you serious? It's just the reflection of the.
It's just the light bouncing off it. I think that's all it is.
Yeah, is that like a metal part of the chair?
Yeah,
and then
that's what it seems like.
Yeah, and there's like a cushioned bit like in front of it for your back.
Yeah.
Basically, I want a replica of the chair anyway, so that's what you can get me for Christmas, everyone.
I think every sane person would want that.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Although it'd be very expensive. Have you seen those replicas you can get of like Kirk's chair back to Star Trek? They're an insane amount of money.
I'm not even gonna look at those. Those are definitely like just tea spitting, too expensive.
I think that's because they know they can get hardcore Trekkies. They know they're the most infamous fan base of all.
True.
And you know how much they'll pay for these things. So it's like, they make a replica of that chair. Someone's gonna pay through the nose for it. Come on, this it's an easy get. I still walk into like Forbidden Planets and all the big comic book chains, and you see those amazing busts. If I can get one, an exact replica of like Jack Nicholson's Joker, and it'd be like £500, and it's like.
Of course.
It's like, who's got the money for that?
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't justify.
Pay 80. There you go. If you do one for 80, I'll buy it.
Even 80 is a bit steep for me. I was like, well, that's a chunk of my month's rent,
Yeah.
And like, all you got to do then is you bring it home and you look at it, and it's like, yep.
True, but I love all these Batman costumes, and it is a little bit of a dream of mine to at least have all the cowls.
Oh, that'd be cool.
In a collection.
But would you wear them, or would you just sit them on like a head?
I don't know. Like, see, when you wear them, you can't see them unless you look in their mirror and you take some pictures. But that'd be a little bit weird. I mean, like, yeah. Did you guys ever talk about the costume? I mean, I'm sure you have many times.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Batman.
It's been a while. Like, we mentioned it when he first showed up. Like, we kind of went into a bit of the sort of tech details of what was there and stuff. But it's been a while since we talked about his outfit, actually.
Because that thing looks like super, like, when I'm looking at it here, it looks like super, like, handmade compared to, I don't know if I should be even saying this, but compared to the one Batman Returns, the design version.
No, you're right, yeah.
This one was always like kind of strange to me. I don't know what you guys think about this costume. I don't think I've been listening too far into the future to know if you ever mentioned anything about that.
No, I agree, because the cape seems quite cheap. Like, not in a bad way, but it doesn't look like high-end, high-tech. And the cowl itself it's very rubbery. Like, it looks like he's made that himself, like, from a mold kit that he's got. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt about it. Especially the things that go down his shoulders. Those always bugged me so much. They still do. They look very Tim Burton-y.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the other thing.
It does seem like it's. I guess it kind of works because this is supposed to be like this version of Batman's year one, essentially. So I guess it kind of stands that like he's
right. Yeah, he wasn't revealed yet.
Yeah, he's got this one because again, I think later on we see Alfred put away the suit in that giant metal locker thing, And at that point, it looks like he's just got one. Whereas in Batman Returns, you see he's got a whole room full of them.
Yeah, it's like a... Yeah, sorry.
So I think, it's just at this point, he has this, because this cowl doesn't even quite fit him, probably. You can see it looks a bit big. It doesn't look...
It looks kind of like a vacuum cleaner to me. It's like when you're looking at, like, from the shot at the beginning of this minute where, the light is coming down from the top, it really looks like, like the eyes, at least.
Well, and as we were talking about, quite a few minutes back, actually, this Bruce/Batman... Like, where does he get the equipment anyway? Because it's not like his company is making it in this one that we know of.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, that's a component of the Christian Bale ones. But this Batman, he very well could just be sat there making it with Alfred on, like, a Sunday night, couldn't he?
Alfred,
Like,
right.
yeah, just a
You know what?
craft
That
night.
actually... Yeah, that makes so much more sense now. That kind of legitimizes the whole operation.
It could, like, explain why, this Batman starting out now. Whereas, like, I think Michael Keaton was, like, in his mid-30s at this point. And it could have been more of usually Batman's like, he starts off late 20s. That's around, he has, like, 10 years off traveling after his education. And then he's Batman in his late 20s. But this one could be more like, he had to take a couple of years out to, like, build that Batmobile. And
To build all that
like,
stuff.
carve out all the batarangs. It's like, it takes time when it's just one guy doing it,
And Alfred, and another old guy, right?
Yeah, again, getting Alfred to do everything for him. It's disgusting. It's disgusting, Bruce. How dare you do that to an old man?
Like, even there, like, when Batman goes over and he lifts up the file of and he throws it at Vicki and he's just like, take that to the press. I just got the image of, like, one of he missed and the file fell on the floor and all the paper went everywhere. And he's just like, Alfred! Just like, I'm not picking that up. And then he has Alfred in, like, one of those little Robin masks. Or he doesn't even call him Alfred. He's just like, Bat Butler! And then a guy who's blatantly Alfred comes out with a little tiny mask. He's like, oh, so yes.
Wouldn't that have to be Battler? Anyway.
Battler! There you go.
Battler! Battler! No.
Well, how come no one's ever called Alfred Battler before? That seems like a thing. He should have been using that as his alias for years.
Yes.
It'll turn out it's a thing. We'll look it up on Tumblr and there'll be pages and pages of things on there probably. But also, if he did drop the file, I have trouble believing that this Batman could actually bend down to pick it up.
Yeah,
I was going to say the same thing, actually.
Yeah, not a slight on his fitness regime. I'm sure he's very... Well, we saw he's quite athletic, But that costume, like when he throws the file towards her, even that looks a bit awkward, like.
Yeah, it does.
Again, it's very, very standoffish. Like, it's really like, take that to the press. It's like he's ending the conversation. It's like, right, that's that. I brought you here for this. Done. This is kind of like the... Whereas, I know you're usually the original draft guy, John. Have you done the contrast between... Because there's quite a difference between the scenes in the original version.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I haven't gone as deep on this particular one. Take it away.
Oh, no, it's a completely different sort of... It's a much more... Like, this version of Batman is just, much better, because this strikes you more as like, that's what Batman would be like. He'd be dark and standoffish and cold.
Well, plus, hang on, let me just say, he's standoffish for a reason. It's because he knows her. And he doesn't want to get chatting to her, because then she'll realize who it is.
But then in the...
Especially with those lips.
Exactly.
But in the original draft, he's chatting away. He's all like, she comes in, she's like, Vicky's looking around, and she's like, well, who pays for all this? And he's just like, I've got sponsors. And then...
Sponsors.
Then he actually goes and he's
got a Patreon.
At one point...
Got a Nike sponsorship?
No, he does, yeah. But Fisher's like, they got my boots. Like, check out, just do it, right?
Oh my God, I want to see a bat suit where the bat symbol's not on it, just there's a big Nike tick.
Yeah.
Oh no.
In yellow.
But yeah, he's just like, he's doing a lot of, like, really just, it's very, very silly, because he's just like, he actually develops the photos for her. He's like, he's showing off the back computer. He's like, I'll develop your photos for you.
Oh, he's totally showing off.
And then she takes them, and he actually says to her, I'll even autograph one of them for you. And he actually autographs a picture of himself and gives it to Vicki Vale.
What?
Yeah.
This is in the script.
Yeah,
wow.
and he's telling her, like, all those little bits. Like, she's like, oh, how do you have you just like hacked into, you know, all these different things? And he's like, no, the FBI did that, and then I hacked into the FBI. And he's just like, he's just trying to be like, and then she's at one point she just figures out that it's like, she goes like Bruce, and he's like, kind of coyly goes like, are you talking to me? And all this sort of stuff. It's like,
you got me.
Yeah, what? It's really, it gets into very silly territory, like the original draft.
This is silly. Because in this one, it like leads up to one thing, and that's sort of like her telling him about, you know, some people say the same thing about you being psychotic, you know?
And
it's just like, and it shows Batman, and you just see his eye there in this close-up, right? This Phantom of the Opera kind of duality with just one eye. I think it's just one eye.
Oh, yeah.
Just showing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And he's thinking to himself, you know, she might have a point here, you know what I mean? And it gives that sort of that sense of loneliness that Tim Burton is very famous for, you know, adding into his stories.
Oh, absolutely.
And in this one, you're talking about is just, I'll sign a photograph for you.
And like, even signs the photograph to Vicki, love B.
B.
You're kidding me.
What the hell is this?
You know who would do that, right? George Clooney's Batman would do that. That sounds exactly like Clooney, because he doesn't even take on a different persona when he's Batman in that, does he? He's just like, I'm George Clooney.
Yeah.
I'm Bruce. I'm Batman. I'm the same guy. No difference.
He doesn't even take on the persona of being Batman. He's just like, or even of being Bruce Wayne. He's like, I'm George Clooney, and I've showed up in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
all those scenes of like Michael Gough like lying dying, like literally it's, you know, Alfred's dying in that movie. He's like, oh, Master Wayne, and then he's
oh man, no, listen, when he says Alfred's dying, this is a running joke between me and my brother, at least, because we used to, you know, everybody's seen Batman and Robin, everybody hates it and loves it for their own reasons, and for us it's always like, Alfred's dying, because George Clooney, when he said that in the take, he's kind of smiling a little bit.
Yeah.
What is this?
Why can he not deliver a line without a smile?
So every time, like, you know, once or twice when we're talking about something cheesy, we just go, Alfred's dying. And,
I am stealing that.
And we get, you know, and both of us get the connotation, yeah.
Well, in many years' time, when we get to that movie and we get to that scene, we'll insert an audio clip of you doing your impression.
Oh, thank you. Oh man, that'll be something.
That's a long way away.
You know what that is, though, is that like there's a logical reason for that in that movie, though, is that he's already fought Mr. Freeze and he's heard all those ice puns, and in his head now he's just like, that guy was hilarious. Like, it's Alfred, because, you know, he came out like, and he's like, hey, you know what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. It's like, and then he had all this ice. It was amazing. It's like,
he's good.
But that's
he's
not really
good.
a pun, Master Wayne. That's just him stating a fact. It's like, no, but Alfred, it was
Alfred,
really funny.
It wasn't a fact. We discovered that this wasn't true.
Oh, well, back in this movie, Vicki, she seems reluctant to take these files to the press because of, obviously, as we said, you know, they think Batman is as dangerous as the Joker. Which I think is crazy. Yeah. And how have they come to this conclusion? Is it all tying into when they were kind of blaming him for that shooting earlier on?
Well, I think it's more like, you know, you've got a heavily armed vigilante running around.
But attacking criminals, you know.
He's attacking criminals, but then it's very much like, well, what's to stop him from, you know, going off the edge and attacking everyone else? Like,
to be fair, we've seen Dexter. You know, he always goes off the rails. So that's always the temptation every season. Oh,
yeah. Oh. It's you know, of course they got like the saying like, oh, you're as dangerous as the Joker. It's like I'd argue that he's even more dangerous, because it's like he's one, like, you know, the only thing that's keeping Batman in check is Batman. Like if he's not there to stop himself, you know, this is the guy. You know, the Tower of Babel storyline. He had contingency plans drawn up and research that, you know, effectively defeated the Justice League. Like he, you know, in that storyline, like Ra's al Ghul steals these files from him and is able to take out the Justice League because Batman's done the research into how to deal with them if he should ever need to. So like, you know, the Joker can't defeat these people, but Batman in his research can. So it's like, well, yeah. So theoretically, because he's got the clout and the fitness and the intelligence, I would argue that, you know, he's more dangerous than the Joker. It's just the fact that he's just, you know, he is thankfully for the citizens of Gotham, he's, keeping it together, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. That sums it up.
I'm on board with it.
But then we get what I think is an absolutely awesome, great exchange between the two of them. Because she says, "You're not exactly normal, are you?" And his reply is just what's fantastic to me. It's not exactly a normal world, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's very Tim Burton, very goth. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I thought it was very defensive, because it's like, I do enjoy, like, even before that, you get this exchange of, like, some people say you're as, as dangerous as the Joker, and he's just like, what people? Like, it's like, who? Who's saying that
she
about
avoids
me?
the question, too.
I want names.
We never get an answer. No.
It's just like, this guy I work with, Alexander Knox, in like 2 days, Knox showed up to work with like black eyes and stuff like that.
He's got a little black book of people he's going to just beat up then.
The Batmobile driving past him and like flinging out a tin can and driving away or something.
I like our version of Batman. We need to make this.
Oh, yes, this is excellent.
Yeah, but even then following up with that, though, like, well, you're not exactly normal. Well, it's not exactly a normal world now, is it?
Yeah.
Got you there. And when he says it as well, he advances on her quite menacingly.
Yeah. It's like he does, to be fair to him here, he does actually have a point, because it's like, well, we are talking about a killer clown guy who is poisoning the city. So it's like, yeah, it's not exactly a normal world now, is it?
Oh, no.
But, although then you get into the debate of like, well, maybe if you hadn't dropped them into those chemicals, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. So,
well, that is usually a big thing in Batman, isn't it? It's like, well, has Batman caused the criminals to get worse? So, yeah. I mean, in this movie, he literally has caused them to get worse because he was involved in the chemical thing. But yeah.
But so I'm sure like, the debate we'll probably have once we get to the relevant scene. But then it's like, well, technically it was the Joker who created Batman first. So who's to blame for this whole situation? Really,
it's an Ouroboros. It's a circle.
It's good, but like just blaming it on Alfred. Like he could have done something. He could have had the kid locked up and just been like, hey, he's nuts. Like he wants to go around dressed as a bat. Yeah, I'm committing him. There you go, done.
He's an A1 nut boy.
Yeah, A1 nut boy, exactly. And then Jack Napier hears this, is like, I thought I was the A1 nut boy. I mean, I know I resented it, but I'm like, hey, no one else takes my title.
And then we get to the this end of the minute, isn't it? What an appropriate way to end this minute.
Oh, yes. It's a great little bit because obviously Vicki suggests that Batman could have sent these to the press himself, which he does agree. Like, well, yeah, I could do that. That's correct. But there is something else you have that I want.
And that's just creepy.
That is creepy. Calm down, Bats. Jesus. Well, I mean, we're joking, but I mean, he does want that. He does like it. So,
well.
Little does she know.
Oh boy.
It is pretty threatening, again. I think that is what he's going for, though. He wants to come across quite short and aggressive, almost, to dissuade her from probing any further into who he is and things like that. It's like, just do what I tell you and go.
Yeah.
Take this to the press. Bye.
It helps, too, like, when, Vicki Vale is talking about, like, I met Batman. Like, I had a whole conversation with him and stuff like that. It helps him more if it's like, well, what's he like? It's like, oh, he's an asshole. Like he's just really angry and just like all huddled in the dark. And he just seemed like as soon as you challenged him on anything, he just got very aggressive. It seems like, you don't want to be like, oh, he's nice. He's like a lovely chatty guy. He gave me an autograph picture of himself.
We talked about the latest movies we'd seen and everything.
It's like, you look like that chick from 9.5 Weeks, That movie is pretty hot.
Hiatus episode, 9.5 Weeks review. Coming soon.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great.
Now I've said it, we kind of have to do it. Sorry.
We do?
Yep, and you have to come on as well. We'll be a trio.
I don't even know what this movie is, guys.
Oh, I haven't seen it I can't remember when I last saw it. I was a kid.
It was kind of the movie that kind of made Kim Basinger, but it's essentially what they used to call an erotic drama where there's a plot and it's a thriller, or there's a drama at least, but it's heavily centered around very erotic scenes. That's it's like a classy version of pornography, basically. Like, you used to get it a lot in the early 90s where you had like really steamy sex scenes and stuff. And
okay.
I think Madonna did something. Well, she did like a courtroom drama that was essentially the same kind of vibe.
How do you have a sexy courtroom?
I think no, it wasn't like she was having sex in the courtroom, but there was like a whole thing where it was like I can't remember what it was, a body of evidence or something, I think you called it.
That's a great title.
Yeah,
yeah, that sounds like a good title.
I think it was like there was a drama and stuff, but then a lot of the press behind it was like, well, there's a lot of sex scenes in it too, guys, and it's Madonna and it's pretty hot, and you get things like that. Like Basic Instinct is the same kind of thing. It's like this is it's about a killer, but there's a lot of sex scenes in it, guys. It's kind of hot,
Right, I see the pattern.
Yeah. So I think that 9.5 weeks was I don't think that was about a serial. I can't even remember what 9.5 weeks is actually about, but I do recall that there's a sex scene involving food that is quite infamous. So,
what? Okay, all right. Well,
on that bombshell, we should probably wrap up the minute. Unless, do you have any further notes, either of you?
No, nothing. Nothing too.
Not really. I'm just super happy to be on Bat Minute 89.
Woo!
Oh, happy to have you, Phil. Thanks for coming.
Before we do go, though...
I will say one last thing is that this minute is always as you recall, one of the big jokes in the monorail episode of The Simpsons is homie, we've got someone who can help you. Batman? No, he's a scientist. Batman's a scientist. And it's always one of those things like, well, Batman's like a billionaire playboy. But this is like, technically, he's doing science stuff here. Like he's doing science. He's got the mouthwash out on the table there because he's examining the mouthwash and stuff. It's like, I guess this is if ever proof were needed, I guess this scene makes it like, Batman's a scientist. Technically, it's.
I wonder where he got his degree. Is that so? I haven't found that information. I'm sure it exists out there somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it'd be one of those ones like it's Oxford and Harvard and the Sorbonne. Like he did it all.
Maybe he did a distance learning course on evenings. I don't know.
I was wondering I think it's in Batman Begins. They mentioned that he drops out of university. So that version of Batman doesn't. He's obviously intelligent enough to be Batman, but he doesn't have a degree. Like he's just like, it's all independent research. I guess is like that's where. Not that it dictates that you need to have a degree to be Batman, but the classically in the lore is that he's got like 50 of them or something ridiculous.
Too many,
yeah. Right?
Stupid. And it is mentioned in some other materials, but obviously this Batman, I couldn't see any mention of it. It didn't stand out to me, at least. Anyway, one last thing before we do go, I would just like to thank 2 of our reviewers. I believe I know who one of them is, though. We have a new review. Who is this one? Lord Phillick.
Oh, wonder who that is.
Who could that be? Thank you, whoever you
wonder.
are. But also, thank you to
You're welcome.
Whoever the hell this is, R1612, who has also reviewed the show.
It's a droid.
Yeah, it's a droid. So we're getting robots. Actually, I shouldn't say that. That sounds like we're cheating the system. We are not. Thank you, Mr. Robot. Thank you, Rami Malek, for sending in your review of Batman 89. Rami Malek coming soon to Batman 89 as a guest. No, he's not.
Oh.
He's not.
Oh. I got excited.
I wish. But that does it for minute 73. And Phil, where can the good listeners find you on the internet and all your work?
Well, you can find me on, my name is Phil Dragash. I guess that's how I pronounce. I don't even know how to pronounce my last name. But that's okay, because you can go to phildragash.com, which is where you see all my stuff. But more importantly, because this is a talk show, and the other talk show that I do is The Matrix Minute, which is a very similar podcast to this one, in fact. And it's another Warner Brothers movie called The Matrix. And me and my brother and our cousin, which is kind of weird, we talk about The Matrix 1 minute at a time, just like on this episode. This whole show, in fact. And it's about The Matrix. Go figure. I mean, it would be great if you guys went there. It's The Matrix Minute.1. I always mess that up on my own show. This time I got it correct. And yeah, that's where it is. The Matrix Minute.1. It'd be great to have one of you guys actually listening to it too.
Yeah,
listening.
Well,
now, yes.
Make sure to check that out because it's all really good. And at least you have a website. We currently do not because we're lazy.
Oh.
So check out the website, everyone, as well.
You're doing pretty good with that one, though.
Yeah, screw it. Who needs a website? Ugh, that's old-fashioned. We're cool. We're hip.
Yeah, Niall was on one of our episodes. 3 of them, in fact. It was pretty cool. It was a great bunch of episodes.
Yeah, I had a great time. I'll happily, although I think we talked about it at the time, but like if you ever want to get into the morbid death march that is Matrix Revolutions? Is that Matrix Reloaded?
Reloaded and Revolutions.
You want to do the second one? I'll happily.
We're gonna do something with that. It may not be minute by minute, but we're definitely gonna talk about it. So yeah,
it'll just be like at the end, we'll just be like everything that the architect's saying. It's just gonna be like, he's still talking. Like this guy.
Well, it's like 10 episodes of that if we ever did those by minute. A whole 2 weeks.
Because I'll just chat on and on about the Matrix now. But I always remembered, over the years, I always remembered the third one being slightly better than the second one. But then earlier this year, I rewatched them all. Because when I watch, even though one is a masterpiece and the other two are like, even though that's the case, I have to watch them all. I don't know why. But when I rewatched them this year, it was very obvious to me that the second one is better. Because the third one's barely in the Matrix. It's in the Matrix for like a couple of scenes. And then it's just all bits you don't care about.
Yeah, the third one actually does have very little as far as plot has to do with anything. It's just a big fight scene, I think.
Yeah.
More or less. 2 of them, 2 big fight scenes, and like Neo just makes like 2 decisions, and that's all that happens in the movie.
But how do you take a movie that was so famed for its great fight scenes in the first one, and then make a whole movie of fight scenes, and then none of them are interesting?
I don't know, Jonathan. You're just going to have to come over to the Matrix Minute. We got to talk about it.
Yes, we will. We will.
That's right. Yeah, man.
I better wrap this minute up.
That's right.
And make sure to check us out on the internet, because we are everywhere. You can't get rid of us. We are on Facebook at the Batminute89 Listeners Society. We are on Twitter at Batminute89. And you can also find us on Instagram as well. Make sure to review us on iTunes. That's our favorite thing when you do that. It gives Niall a big smile. Oh, he's grinning away right now, knowing we have new reviews. And make sure to join us again on Wednesday, because we will be back with minute 74 of Batman. Next time, Vicki waking. The phone rings. It's Vicki calling, but she doesn't want Knox to come to the crib. But is there still a shot at getting something hot, a newspaper spot? Find out Wednesday, same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.